Uh, on the anniversary of my mom's passing in 2015, I asked her for a sign, and nothing happened until 5 days later, which was her birthday. And I went to the city where I grew up, and I was driving by my friend's home, which was 3 doors up, and a hummingbird appeared and followed my car down. And I stopped the car in the middle of the street in front of my place. And lo and behold, the hummingbird was there at my driver's window long enough for me to put it down, and was just hovering for about half a minute. So that was my sign. So almost 4 years ago, I was walking my dog, and a gal came out the front door. I'll call her Dee. And we just bonded instantly. We became fast friends. Later that year, I had to cross my dog to the other side of the veil. And I actually have seen my dog 3 times in spirit. 2 of the times I was wide awake in broad daylight, and I saw her torso at the height she would have stood, with her fur growing out wavy, because she was a poodle, and the cream color of her fur. I didn't see her face, but I know it was her. After several years, my friend Dee's cancer came back, sadly. And as she declined, I tried to get her to do a will or a trust. And once she became bedridden, my friend and neighbor printed off a will from the computer, and I took it to her, and I tried to get her to fill it out. And I would have filled it in, but she was digging her heels in. It was going to charity, different charities, but she never completed it. And the last thing she wanted was her family to get anything. And it ended up she ended up dying intestate, So she went to a board and care the last 2 weeks of her life. And the day before she passed, my friend and I went to a home show, and we felt bad because we weren't with my friend, but we toured a 1920s colonial Spanish style home, amongst others. The next day we went to be with our friend. And before she passed, I told her about all my fond memories that I would hold close to my heart. We ended up buying a pepperoni pizza for the staff and clients because that was her favorite. And so the next day I went out to eat to a restaurant I'd been numerous times. I chose a table and sat down and realized there was a white feather on the ground next to the table, which has never happened before or after. Then my friends started coming through the music. There was a song singing about Before You Go, and the next one was about fond memories, and then another one singing about I Miss You. The day after, I went to get a pedicure, and the TV was on, and it was on a show called Home. And sure enough, there was a 1920s colonial Spanish-style home that came on. And then there was a commercial for pepperoni pizza, and the next commercial was for hoarders. And I hesitated mentioning that she's a hoarder, but I asked her 2 weeks ago, would it be okay if I said it? And tied it into the commercial. And that night I turned the TV on, and Tyler Henry, the medium's new show, was on. And the first thing out of his mouth was the sitter's mother was a hoarder. So I felt that was the green light. Then the music again, a song singing about I Miss You. As I left, a song came on, The Story of My Life. And my massage chair would turn off after 2 minutes. I would turn it back on, it would turn off. I finally had to give up on it. So a few weeks later, I picked up the ashes of my friend, and I came home, and there was a dove at the base of the tree next to where I live. I've been here over 10 years, and I've never seen a dove there. The next morning, the probate gal called, and I went outside, and she said, "Is that an owl?" And I said, "No, that's a dove sounding off." And I feel that was my friend having the bird do that because she wasn't happy because everything was going to end up going to her family because, she never did the will. So I had an email with my friend's wishes that I said I could forward to the probate gal. And she said, "Sure, I'll ask my boss if it could serve as a hieroglyphic will." Well, when I sent it, it went in hieroglyphics. It went one letter per line in a column down. This has never happened before or after. On her end, she received the formatting fine. But sadly, the boss said, no, we cannot use this. The following week, I met the gal at my friend's place to give her the keys to my friend's home. And I said, this porch light has been flashing, her porch light, ever since she passed. It's wasting electricity. Could you please turn it off? So she did. And that night, the light in the ground started flashing right in front of her place. Sadly, I've had to euthanize 3 cats this year. The first one is Louie. He was gray. And when I was in the waiting room with him, a dog came in wearing a shirt with huge UCLA letters. I don't live in LA. The significance of that is I had just found out my bio mom had passed and that her body went to UCLA for medical science. So this was a sign to me that my bio mom would be with my cat when he crossed. 19 days later, I had to cross my orange cat, Daisy. She was not well at all. And the next morning I went out and I found a tiny feather impaled on a dandelion stalk to make sure it would be there when I got there, and it had orange on the end, and then there was a gray feather next to it for my Louie. In August, I had to cross my Maxwell Smart, and when I left the office, there was an orange dragonfly going in front of my window 4 times, making a really loud noise so I wouldn't miss it. Then I went to a restaurant, pulled in a spot, and there was a white butterfly, and I went in, and a song came on by the Jackson 5. I'll Be There, it's called. And the significance of that is my vet uses the Michael Jackson drug, propofol, for sedation. And so the next morning I got up and I looked out the kitchen window and I called to him because the song sings about call me and I'll be there. And a hummingbird shot straight up in the air. And I couldn't believe it. So I called out again, and it happened a second time. The next day I went out and there was a white butterfly going around the succulent garden. And the next day I went out and there was an orange dragonfly for 5 minutes going all over in front of my house. Okay, thank you.